Hi. Just because I'm sick doesn't mean I can't open some magic packs. So let's get to it. I figured I'd film one and talk about it a little bit. It's a set booster, so not what we'll need on Sunday, but it'll do. Okay. I used to be pretty good at opening these, but I don't. Still, pretty neat. Let's see, I think this is the land. Oh, that's the token. That's some stuff. All right, let's start with this nonsense. It's a dragon. Well, that only seems fitting, doesn't it? The dragon token. It's a cool art card, art series. Appears to be some sort of soul thing. Stone speaker crystal. Yep. Damn it. Very cool. It's a plains with D&D like quest text, which I think is adorable. After spending all day trying to track down a rare tome, you're about to give up when you hear your name whispered from a dark alley. It's very, very D&D. I like that. It's a play. If you're playing white, you're going to have to play these. That's my official opinion on the card. Cloak of the Bat. Too generic for an artifact equipment with equip 2. Equipped creature has flying and haste. I don't know. Obviously, if you care about stuff like equipment, that's cool. Flying is very relevant, especially in sealed, because sealed games and commander games in general can get bogged down a lot with just people not being able to attack, so flying is very important. But the fact that this doesn't give any power and toughness bonus, I don't know if it's worth a whole card. I could be wrong. I could be wrong on all of these. Speaking of equipment, Goggles of the Night. 1 in a blue. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, scry 1, then draw a card. Equip 2. Now this is good, I think. I'm pretty sure this is good. You obviously want creatures that can easily deal damage that either already have flying or unblockable or trample or whatever, but scry 1 and draw a card is pretty good. If you hit this twice, that's already definitely worth it. So this seems like a cool card in like a evasive or equipment deck. Contact other plane, an instant for 3 in a blue. Roll a d20. If you roll between 1 and 9, draw 2 cards. Between 10 and 19, scry 2, then draw 2 cards. And if you roll a 20, you get insane stuff. I think this is playable. It's not amazing. I think it's a little expensive to just draw 2 cards. And I think I'm going to be very bad at evaluating the roll d20 cards, because the variance on them makes them, I don't know if that's good. I don't know how to evaluate that, right? Like, should I always just look at the 1 to 9, and if that's worth it, the rest of the card is probably good? I guess we'll have to find out. I would probably play this. Card draw is relevant, and scry 2 and draw 2 is pretty good. I think it's a little expensive. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, you scry 2. I like this. This seems sweet. Goaded is, so if you put this on a creature that you control, it is kind of a downside, right? Because goaded basically just means it can't attack you, but it has to attack. So the can't attack you part then isn't relevant, but the fact that it has to attack and you don't have a choice is kind of bad, because it might just die. So if you really need the power and toughness increase to finish someone off, that's good. But generally you want to put this on someone else's creature, and then they have to attack your other opponents, and then you get a bonus also, and you sort of help someone. It's an interesting sort of multiplayer card. Martial Impetus, and another aura. 2 and a white for an enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and is goaded, so sort of the same situation. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, Each other creature that's attacking one of your opponents gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So again, it's very much, I want to help all of you attack more, just don't do it to me. And that's definitely a commander strategy, if that's what you want to go for. With most of these cards, obviously, the evaluation of them will be reliant on what type of deck you're playing. I think if you are doing that, if you're having this deck of like, hey, I'm helping everyone, just don't attack me, that seems cool. Not amazing, but fine. Oh god, there's so many impetuses. Is there another one? No, okay. So there is another impetus, parasitic impetus. So basically same deal, 2 and a black for an enchantment or a enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded, and when it attacks, its controller loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So this one I actually think doesn't even necessarily go into sort of the goad helping everybody out deck that I talked about earlier. I think this one just is a good card. As long as you have multiple opponents so that you don't get attacked, that's useful. But they have to attack and therefore have to lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. So you can do this in a life gain deck. You can just do it as, I don't know, being annoying. Obviously, that does mean that the creature is more a removal target than if you would put Martial Impetus on it, because the creature's controller now also wants to remove it. But then again, if they use a removal spell to get rid of their own creature, that's probably also good. I like it. Stone Speaker Crystal, that's what that was for. But this is the regular art. 4 mana for an artifact that taps to add 2 colorless, or you can tap 2. You can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it to exile any number of target players' graveyards. Draw a card. I like it. 4 mana for an artifact that taps 2. Obviously, it's not a Soul Ring, but it is, in today's world, pretty good. And then the benefit of completely fucking with people that have decks that care about their graveyards, it's not bad. I think you can play this very easily. You want your ramp. Speaking of your ramp, here's a Mind Stone. Kind of a weird art for it, not gonna lie. I like the brain art way more. But yeah, Mind Stone's an older card. 2 mana, tap to add a colorless, and you can sack it to draw a card. I think I would play this in basically any deck. Treasure Keeper seems cool. 4 mana for a 3/3 artifact creature construct. When Treasure Keeper dies, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card with mana value 3 or less. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put all revealed cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. So yeah, it's a 3/3 for 4, not great, but the fact that it's colorless is good in a deck. Like if you're running 3 colors, you can always cast this, which is kind of nice. But it's not, you know, I wouldn't put that in my deck. However, when it dies, you get something for free, basically, and you're guaranteed to get it. That's pretty sweet. So yeah, definitely run one of these. It's kind of cool. If you have a lot of instants like counter spells, maybe think twice about this one, right? Because if you reveal a counter spell off of it, you may cast it, but it doesn't do anything. So that's a bit of a whiff. Bane, Lord of Darkness. Ooh, he's a god. Look at that. What a fancy lad. 1, and then an Esper. So 1 white, blue, black for a 5/2 legendary creature god. 5/2 is an interesting power and toughness combination, especially for a legendary creature. Hell, especially for a god. Seems easy to kill. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Bane, Lord of Darkness has indestructible. Ah, okay, well that helps. So you want to lose life. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you may put a creature card with equal or lesser toughness from your hand onto the battlefield. Weird. I mean, this seems like a cool commander for sure. I don't know how many cards there are in the set that make you lose your own life for value. Probably some. But yeah, if you want to get attacked, get your life total low so that Bane is indestructible, that's cool. Especially useful in the end of the game. I guess you don't even really have to work towards it. That's just a bonus that you get. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, and then either you draw a card or you put something from your hand onto the battlefield. You need a lot of card draw, right? Because you basically, they're like, if you don't have any cards in your hand, they're just going to be like, okay, you don't get to draw a card, put something on the battlefield, and you have nothing. So it's like, this requires some work, but I do like it. I think it's cool. Candlekeep Sage. That's a background, so if you have a monocolored commander, you can pick a background as a second commander. Legendary enchantment background for 2 and a blue. Commander creatures you own have. When this creature enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. Very good with cheap commanders because they die often and come back again because you can keep casting them. Like if your commander is already 6 mana to begin with, you're probably not going to cast it, you know, more than 3 times because by the 3rd time it's so expensive you won't be able to through commander tax. But if you have a cheaper commander, even with Bane here, I can see that being a thing. Obviously, Bane can't have a background, but still. I think it's important to realize that backgrounds can also just be in your deck as an enchantment. You don't have... I would have to look this up, but I think you don't have to have them as your background commander. So you could put this in the deck with Bane if you feel like it. Ooh. Well, this is a nice foil. Oh. Foil. Cool art of Miracle, Lord of Bones, another god. 4 and an Abzan, so 4 generic mana, a white, a black, and a green for a 7/5 legendary creature god. Now 7/5, that's more like it when it comes to god-like power and toughness. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, they have indestructible. Okay, so that's basically the Baldur's Gate set god mechanic. Each set, if they have gods, have a specific way of keeping gods around. And for D&D, I guess it's the half your starting life total. Interesting, I didn't realize that. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an enchantment and loses all other card types. Interesting. So creatures you get die, turn into enchantments. Because they're no longer creatures, which means that you want them for the ability that they have, which is interesting. Like any triggered or activated abilities would still be a thing. So yeah, if you have cards that care about enchantments, this is cool. If you have a lot of creatures that do cool stuff, even when they're not attacking, this is a cool card. I like this color combination, so I guess we'll see. Wand of Wonder. Ah, that's the same card that was in the bundle, except with a different art. Right, like this is the foil bundle version of Wand of Wonder. I actually kind of like the original art more. Interesting. Oop. So, but still, another cool roll a d20 card. This time you have to pay for it, but you guarantee to get something, so that's kind of cool. 3 and a red for an artifact that on its own doesn't do anything, which is always a little tricky, but sure. If you then have 4 generic mana, you tap it to roll d20. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery card, then shuffles the rest into their library. You may cast up to X instant or sorcery spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. So yeah, depending on how you roll, you get all of your opponents' instants or sorceries that they reveal, or just one of them, or 2. I mean, in multiplayer, very cool. 3 would be amazing, 2 is pretty good. Even 1 is fine, depending on the spell, of course. Because sometimes you just, if you hit a counter spell, not great. If you hit a ramp spell, that's pretty good. But then sometimes you get something that's amazing and insane, so I like this. Especially if you have a commander that cares, like Will, that cares about rolling dice, then this seems sweet. And God, it's another impetus. Interesting. Foil this time. Predatory impetus, it's fairly simple. It's +3/+3, must be blocked if able, and is goaded. Again, make your opponents fight amongst each other, or put it on something that you have that's already quite big, so that attacking all the time isn't that much of a problem. Must be blocked is pretty good if your opponent has a bunch of small stuff that they don't want dead, because yeah, +3/+3 is a lot. It's expensive for a green, but I can see this being okay. I don't know with the impeti. I think I'd need to have a good reason to put them in, because with auras there's always sort of a danger that if you cast it and someone removes the creature, then you've basically lost a card. Then again, if you cast it on your opponent's creatures, if that triggers a removal spell that otherwise would have gone to you. So yeah, I guess this is better than a regular aura, but it'll be a tricky one to sort of figure out how to play around, I guess. And that's it. Not a lot of commanders in this pack. 2 basically, 2 gods though, so that's cool. A lot of artifacts and equipment and enchantments, basically. That's it. It's basically artifacts and auras and 2 gods. God, if we were drafting, probably just a Mind Stone to keep myself open, and you always want a Mind Stone. Or maybe the Wand of Wonder, just because it's really cool. Maybe the Treasure Keeper. Not knowing the set as well as I probably should, I would probably just go for Mind Stone. But that might be wrong. And then in terms of commanders, Merkel's cool. Bane is weird. Bane requires a little bit more of a setup, I think. But interesting. Interesting to see sort of the options that we have here. All right. I'll open one of these tomorrow, I guess. Bye.